Well, the Federal High Court in Abuja has restrained the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) from prosecuting Hudu Yunusari, suspended resident electoral commissioner in Adamawa State. Now, Yunusari had stirred controversy by declaring Aisha Binani Dahiru of the All Progressives Congress (APC) as the winner of the Adamawa governorship election, when the collation of the results was yet to be completed. INEC declared the announcement null and void and summoned the REC to its headquarters in Abuja. Subsequently, the electoral umpire wrote to the police to prosecute Yunusari over the electoral infraction. On Thursday, INEC revealed that the commission has filed a 6-count charge against Yunusari before a high court in Yola, and that July 12 has been fixed for the commencement of trial. Well, however, in an ex parte motion, Binani, through her counsel, Michael Ondoka, moved the ex parte motion to stop Yunusari's prosecution. Ondoka, while moving the motion on Monday, argued that until the Election Petition Tribunal decides the fate of his client in accordance with Section 149 of the Electoral Act 2022, the prosecution of Yunusari cannot be said to be valid. Well, he said the decision of INEC to file an action against any person in connection with Binani's April 15 declaration as winner of the supplementary poll in Adamawa State would affect the case at the tribunal. Well, he also said an undertaking had been signed to prove to the court that the present suit was not frivolous, adding that he is ready to pay any cost if the court finds the suit to be frivolous. Well, after listening to Ondoka, Donatus Okorowo, presiding judge, ordered the parties to maintain status quo and tabulum, pending the hearing and determination of the matter. INEC and the Attorney General of the Federation, AGF, who are respondents in the suit, have been ordered to show cause why the reliefs sought by Binani should not be granted. The suit has been adjourned to July 18 for hearing. Well, we have with us in the studio Charles Ideho, and joining us virtually, John Akirile. Now let's find out if John is in. Good morning to you, John. All right, so John is yet to join us. I like the sound of that. John is yet to join us.
That's quite. You say it sounds quite
musical. Melodic. Well, I have with me in the studio Charles Ideho, a journalist, a public affairs commentator.
Right.
Good to have you with us.
Glad to be here. Yes.
Now, first of all, is it ideal for the APC candidate in question to interfere in the prosecution process of the resident electoral commissioner?
Well, that's to tell you, obviously they'll be working in cahoots. It's only when you look at issues like this, you now begin to ask your question, rhetorical question, if you will, what is in it for Binani? I mean, what's in it for her? Plenty. But you see, what frightens me, in the manner of speaking, is the fact that are we ever going to get to the root cause of all this? There are so many things that are hidden beneath this case that we may never be able to unearth, even in our lifetime. When you look at the way things have been happening in Nigeria, you look at the antecedents of cases of this nature. You also look at the man also in the picture, Michael Ondoka. I'm sure a lot of us were old enough to understand even the inglorious role he played during the Abacha role. He was the Attorney General and the Minister of Justice during the Abacha years. Remember what he did? So
remind us.
Oh, well, of course, he was part of that government at that time, the chasing people on the ground and giving all these frivolous things against all. You remember the June 12 and all that? He was part of those people who ensured that June 12 never saw the light of day. This same Ondoka, remember again, he also had a problem with government, that he was also detained for a while and all that. So the very moment I saw the name of Ondoka in the fray, I said, this case might be, it might go nowhere for all, because he was even thumping his chest that if in the end that this case is adjudged to be frivolous, He's going to pay.
It costs.
I mean, you imagine a lawyer, that's a lawyer. It's not even Binani that is talking. It's the lawyer who is the counsel to this person, to the person who had tried to go to court. Now, it's not even the man, Yunus Ari, that has even decided to say, no, don't prosecute me. It's somebody, a party to the case, not even the main person. Ari, right now, you see who Ari is now acting like an agent, where it's not me. As people are fighting on my behalf, that's to tell you that I have no case. I have nothing on my face. But you see, the thing is that I think what INEC needs to do, since INEC is the prosecutor, INEC needs to up its ante, go to court, challenge this motion as party, challenge it, and then have it vacated so that we can have proper trial of this man. You also recall that even Andwaka was citing Section 149, that's the electoral of 2022. Inside on even within that the electoral act 2022, then this man himself already has no power. He has no power under the law to announce a result, not even announce result midway. He doesn't have the power at all to announce result, to even talk about announcing result midway. So that power has been vested to the electoral officer, the returning officer, I meant to say, not the rec at all. So he did this. This is what somebody told me. Of course, it was somebody was making permutation. You know how it is, because there's a sobriquet now. Go to court. So what he said they meant to do, announce this result. Then there will be crisis and all that. Then the woman will be sworn in, and everybody will go to court. Before you know it, one term is over and all that. And that's
so
exactly
that seemed like the script.
Yes, it's a script that happened. But when you look at it, even when the man what he did that, how long did it take Buhari to respond? It took him a while. They had to wait for him to come from abroad because he was out of the country. They had to wait for him to come abroad. Okay, Baba, they wake up, Baba. He said, oh, okay. He now gave go ahead for him to be investigated. Now, investigation has been concluded. The man has been found wanting. Then they now have approached the court of competent jurisdiction to now try him. But the same court I say no, he can't.
Why did initially INEC was mute for a while, and it felt like INEC didn't know exactly what to do, whether it should go ahead. Apparently, you have also postulated that it took the president at the time.
Why?
It took him a while to respond. So, okay, prosecute this person before INEC started, and then INEC suspended. He went away, and later we didn't know where he was.
He was arrested,
and then he was arrested. Why is INEC now prosecuting him? Is it because there's been a change in power?
Government is a continuum. Okay, government ought to be a continuum. All right, and that's what you're trying to witness. But I think what they did was that in this past few weeks, if you will, between when the baton of leadership was passed over from the ex-wife president and then to this current president Tinubu, a lot of things have been going on, investigation and all that, so that the case will not be truncated. We even the media has also questioned some certain rationale behind certain actions of some agencies and other rushing to the press to go and prosecute people in the press without carrying out proper investigation. So I decided to work along that line to say, okay, we don't want to be accused of rushing to the press to go and convince someone in the open, in the court of public opinion. So they decided to approach the court of competent jurisdiction to handle the case, and then they also deploy the agency responsible for investigation, which of course they just carried out investigation. They found that the man is guilty. They have 6 count charge against him. All right. So which is of course they have approached the court to determine whether he be charged, whether he be found guilty, and then this ex parte motion is coming out to truncate. But it's not truncating it. It's going to put it in abeyance for now for a while. But while it's in abeyance, a lot of things will be also go under the
things like what?
Well, it is like soft landing and all that. Particularly, he was working for the. Okay, you know this. Binani is of the APC. APC is in government. So would you say that APC wouldn't have benefited from if that thing had been let to go? If Binani had been allowed to go, APC would have been counting that as among the state that they have today in their kitty. So would the APC be the person now fighting to say they want to have their own prosecuted?
So
I mean, it's a rhetorical question as well.
So do you think that this postponement,
Yeah.
this delay, is to water things down,
You're
and
saying-
then he'll be let off the hook?
He might not be
eventually?
let off
Completely.
immediately.
Okay.
You know, there's a way the big ones in Nigeria, they are prosecuted. You first of all make a hue and cry. After the hue and cry, then you say, okay, he's going to go abroad for medical checkup. He comes back, he's taken to court once or twice, and then the case goes. Okay, he's kept in perpetual abeyance and all that. And that's what might happen, because the bravado that was unleashed by Yunus Ari that time, he was acting as somebody who was beating the drum for him. In
Exactly,
the bush.
with the police beside him.
Exactly.
You know, he
So
felt he had the authority.
it presupposes that there were big fish who were working in cahoot with him, or who were egging him on to say, do that, we are behind you. I mean, he was doing that without even batting an eyelid to say whether the laws were even existing in this country and all that. Even when he was also good, when he came, he said he did nothing wrong. I mean, he's also a lawyer who should know, but he said he did nothing wrong. And because people were probably, this is a supposition, people who were probably beating the drum for him were so powerful that he felt that no finger could touch him. So that's why we are. That's why we're on this street now.
Now, do you think INEC can be free of external influence? Because as it is, INEC seems to be, there seem to be a lot of influences, a lot of people pulling the strings of INEC, and INEC just feels like a puppet.
Well, do I think INEC can be free of external influence? The way INEC is currently constituted, it may not be free from external influences.
Okay.
Those external influences are very powerful. The presidency is an external influence, because INEC is supposed to be independent. Independent is supposed to work independently. I mean, as that's grammar. You have to speak for yourself, do things without even question. Yes, I do know that the president is the president of the Federal Republic. They are giving to him by law that aspect to appoint, but he can't remove without an act of parliament, right? Okay. Now, how independent is independent electoral commission? Now, you can't be dependent when somebody who is supposed to be dependent from is the one that is funding your existence. Somebody is funding your existence. You want to be dependent on that person? Not possible. So, except what we need to do is, okay, why don't we just make INEC independent indeed? Maybe it could be that your money could come from or it could be on first line charge, or it could be that Nigerians will find a way to pool resources together to fund INEC's existence. But as long as the INEC's funding, or INEC's existence is still funded by the powers that be, particularly, I mean, the executive, INEC cannot be seen to be indeed independent. It's just independent on paper. And I don't know who is going to extricate that and may take it up.
We probably will have to look at that law again and see how we can tweak it in such a way that INEC, the appointment of whoever heads INEC would not be by appointment anymore. It will probably be by election.
Yeah. Well, again, those who are benefiting from the skilled constitution of INEC will not also allow that. And those people, most of them in the National Assembly, who are saddled with responsibility of me tweaking with our laws, then who also benefit, the executive benefits. Would the executive now take maybe a private member bill or executive bill to the National Assembly to say, okay, this thing that benefits us, to go and take it out of the books? It's not going to happen. There are people who benefit from the system, and those people also, they will work to ensure it's sustained, not only sustained, it's maintained, it's not also maintained, they also perfect it to continually benefit them. Those people are not going to work against their own interest.
So as it is, we are stuck with this. We
are stuck with it, sadly so.
Sadly so. And yes. going forward, will we ever see a situation whereby elections will be done and the collation of results will be done in real time, thereby making it difficult for anybody to alter or interfere the results that INEC is putting out there? Let's shift the matter a bit.
Well, the technology we have deployed, INEC deployed actually high-tech technology. But you see, I was on radio, I was on TV months, weeks leading to the election, and I was crying foul. There was an aspect I was telling them, nobody cared to listen at that time. Now, I'm sure you are aware that there's an existence of RATEC. RATEC is an acronym for registration agent, registering agent. I can't recall what that is. But it's RATECH.
Okay.
Now it's an arm within INEC. All right. You have the BIVAS, you have the IREV. IREV is the result viewing portal. All right.
Yeah.
Now you don't have the RATEC. Now RATEC is that's where the problem is. Now, I can't call the RATEC, forgetting what the RATEC means exactly. Now, RATEC are agents, they're technical agents or technicians, okay, of INEC. What do they do? Now, after you have uploaded the result, you don't release the result real time until RATEC, okay, there's a language INEC uses often, until the RATEC has cleaned up result. What are you cleaning? They've cleaned up result. Then before they now pass the result on to IREF for people to view.
Okay, that's the registration area technical support.
Thank you. Thank you. Because the thing just let my subconscious. So no. So this RATEC, they are people. They are people who are not faceless. They are known. So politicians will go anywhere to ensure they know these people. So as you are cleaning up your result, please clean this for me before you put it on
what
the
are they cleaning?
That's like, and they didn't come out to tell, because you know why? They said when they bring all the results, they say, oh, maybe excess vote and all that. It's the language they use. They say clean up. So who define cleaning? And then it's only INEC that defines what cleaning is. So they will now clean it, because once you have, all this one, people say, okay, put the result on the INEC server, put it on the internet. I was laughing. I said, you could put all the result on the internet or on the server, INEC server and all that, but it will not be available for viewing until the RATEC has cleaned up this job. So it is you are laughing. It is within that period of cleaning, not cleansing, cleaning, that a lot of things could happen.
Well, so far we have seen lots of loopholes in the Nigerian electoral process,
yes.
And many election results have been challenged in courts. Before the previous administration, what we had was body language.
Yes.
We had to deal with the body language of the presidency, of the president. Now, the word in town is go to court.
Go to court, as they have become okay.
Can INEC ever really redeem its image? Can Nigerians ever trust INEC in future elections again?
Well,
seeing what is happening at the presidential election petitions court.
Well, I don't always want to sound very pessimistic. I'm also a patriotic Nigerian.
Okay.
I've had cause to travel abroad, my job had taken me to places, and when I get there, I say, oh, I wish this thing can be replicated in my country. Maybe we just copy and paste, and then maybe to also suit our peculiarity here back home. Yes, INEC can actually redeem its image.
Because we thought
it can, but would it? No, Beaver was a winner. But again, that winner, because that's why you saw the National Assembly, most of them were up in arms against the system. They were in fact using binoculars, or using everything to look at maybe a window of escape to say, no, this can be used. But again, they all decided to submit to the voice of reasoning. But then when Nigerians said, no, it has to be, we all saw it as a winner for all of us until, again, the human angle system, human factor now came into to play. Now, there was an election in this country. When I think then I was in Unilag doing a diploma course in 1993, the option A4. We got it. I mean, that was an election that was organized using rudimentary technology, or using what I'm making analog election. Okay, analog election has been adjudged the freest so far in the annals, the political annals of this country and all that. Now we have migrated from analog to digital. We're getting it wrong. So will you now say we should return to analog when the rest of the world has moved? In Ghana, you don't need to shut down an economy to vote. Today, as you are here, I'm here. After what we are doing here, we just go and vote, and then we go back to our. But all this one, you have to shut down the economy because you have to do that. I was in Edo election. That's got the gubernatorial election. Edo, I was a major player over there because I work with one of the candidates, one of the major candidates at that time. So I saw they deployed about 26,000 police officers and all that, 26,000 to a small Edo, 26,000. What would they be doing?
Was that the Oshomale's election?
No. Obaseki versus Oshomale's political godson. What's his name? Pastor Ize Yamu. I was there and all that. I said, what do you need all this one for? Then the first they came in with a show of force, shooting and all that. If you can't get an election to be properly managed and properly conducted, when you still have the influence of these agencies and all, most of them too, they are not also above board. I tell you something. One of the candidates at that time, because when you bring these people into town, into the state, you go. Most of them are sleeping bare floors and all that. So a candidate will not say, "Okay, come." I know about 5 ladies that were taken by one politician to say, "Okay, you come." Rented a hotel for them. You expect those ladies
not to be loyal or do things in his favor.
So INEC can, but I think INEC's hands are tied to his back. May not be able to do it because INEC, the way INEC is now, is strongly tied to the apron strings of the executive, and I don't think, except we fight to take INEC off the apron strings of the executive, we may never in the days to come. Maybe in 2 elections from 2 elections hence, we may not get it right. But if we insist that INEC must be independent, then Nigerians should be ready to find a way to fund INEC so that we take INEC out of the stranglehold of the executive.
All right, then. Well, I hear that John Akirile has joined us virtually. Good morning to you, John.
Good morning to you, my brother. Thank you for having me.
All right, welcome.
All viewers all over the world.
All right, welcome, John. So, John, we're talking about INEC. We're talking about Unisari and the fact that the cases, the 6-count charge that INEC has filed against him has been pushed forward. Trial has been pushed forward, pending when trial at the Presidential Election Petitions Court is concluded. And it feels like someone somewhere is preventing Yunusa Ari from being tried. What's your take?
I think this is what you see when the power of incumbency is at play. Let me take you back a bit to the incident that precipitated the issue of UNISA. Who did UNISA declare as the winner of the gubernatorial election? Is Binani. Who is Binani? APC aspirant or candidate so-called in so-called election. Who is the power at the center now? The APC. So if I say this to you in analogy in Yoruba, Ajekila no, Omokuleni, Tani Mokwede, meaning that the witch cried yesterday, the child died today. Who is not aware that it was the witch that cried yesterday that killed the child that died today? Now this is the it shows that for this wreck, there are some powers that be that says, go, we are behind you. Now the question is, who sent him on that errand? The fourth commentator was giving you some analysis about some things that happened within INEC and during the election in Edo State. That will tell you that there are some powers that be. There are some people who are like masquerades, who say, you just continue moving, we are behind you.
We are behind you.
Even if they apprehend you, they take it to court, we are still behind you. But this is another school of thought on this issue. And I want us to also be fair to him as a person. Why? Because in Nigeria, you are proven, you are innocent until you are proven guilty. So
you want us to be fair to him as a person?
Yes, it's in the court of law. In the court of law. Now, this is their own case, which I think for me is logical enough. That the case of the person he declared Inani is also in a court of law now. And that is to say that there's an election tribunal ongoing. So pending that case, pending the outcome of the tribunal case, either Binani will win in court or not, that his own case should be pending. And I think I support that school of thought as well.
I disagree.
INEC is not going anywhere. INEC will still consider conduct more and more elections. So let's allow the court to do their job and do their duty by, finalizing the gubernatorial election tribunal. Okay? Look at it. This is a timed case. This election tribunal case has a time limit. And once that time limit elapses, its own case can be, be lifted from being pending and to actual prosecution. Now, the only time I think Nigerians can cry foul is when election tribunal has been concluded and his own trial is not commenced, because that is the clause, used to say, okay, we are pending his case until there's a determinant when it comes to the case of election tribunal of Ibinani herself in court. So once that is decided, then we can now call back to him. So I think for me, it's a logical one. But then you can see that there's a show of force from the powers that be. Those who sent him are telling him, we're not leaving you in this shit, and we're going to stay until you get out of it. So that's just
all right. But you disagree. Go ahead.
I disagree with John that says.
Let's have your point of view.
The reason why I disagree with John is that you can't build something on nothing. There has to be a foundation for something to build upon it. So if John says we should allow this case to be concluded at the tribunal, then there's something. Who Duari that announced that result, was he constitutionally empowered to do so? The answer is no.
Don't you think that would not be the case?
He's not constitutionally empowered to announce any result, whether midway or even in conclusion. He has no. You see, there's nowhere in our body of laws that has given even half an inch of power to Duari to even do what he did. That's what I'm saying. The case, Duari has been. The law does not recognize him at all.
Now, don't you think we should, like what John is saying?
Yes.
Let's wait for this one to be concluded. If Binani is now said to have, won that election, and Governor Fintiri is asked to leave,
yes,
do you think it will affect his own trial? I don't think it will.
I don't think it will. But okay,
his own trial will be the legality of him making that announcement.
Let me use an analogy. I mean, John, thankfully you are there. You also listen. Now, a thief, when I say, okay, someone who has no right to come into your home, he has no right to come into your home. He came in, he took your TV, and he was caught. All right? He has no right to come into your home. He took the TV, he was caught. Then we now went to court. You say, okay, I want my TV, but I said, no, let's first of all determine what. Does that make any sense? In the first place, he has no right to come into your home. Why don't you look at, okay, this man who came to your home had no right whatsoever to come into your home. Let's look at that case. Before you now say, okay, what was stolen, they're not giving to you. Then say, no, they are still withholding what was taken from your home. Somebody who has no right to come to your home. I mean, does it make any logical sense? That's why I said disagree with him. Eunice Wari, who do Eunice Wari that announced that result, the law does not recognize him and recognize his activity that he did on April 15 or something. I can't recall the time.
April 15, yes.
But you're now saying, let us wait. Let's keep Ari's case, Ari's infraction. Let's keep it in abeyance. Let's first of all know whether somebody who he declared will win or the person will look for. Oh, Ari, how are you now? That's your case. We are now back to it. It doesn't make any sense at all. So I think what Ari did was first of all a nullity in law, because there is nowhere in the Electoral Act that gave him half an inch of power to do what he did. So for me, I think it's just trying to model the whole thing up. That's why I said I disagree with John. Yes.
John, you have a response to Charles's stance?
Yes, I do. I think everybody has his own opinion, and I'm happy that he has taken his time to really enlighten us about his own stand. But yes, still my stand. I don't think we should, looking at his own analogy, that would just be jungle justice in my own regard. I'm not a fan of the Adamawa wreck. I'm not his fan. Neither do I support his own actions. But from what, let's for once in this country, let's not be like our leaders who, do not even give regard for the, if there is a case and, a court of competent jurisdiction has given a verdict, let's show our leaders that as followers, we can lead, we can follow with examples by saying, okay, this is the court order. Okay, can we see? I'm not saying that he should be shielded from having, his justice being served to him. No, what I'm saying is, if there is a court order, can we obey the court orders? Can we? For God's sake, let's show these people that we are their followers, but then we are more sane. We are saner. And that's
but John, I wasn't suggesting that this ex parte motion should be disobeyed. Before you joined, I told him that I am even asking INEC to go challenge that ex parte motion to have it vacated. All right. What I'm saying first is that what Hudu Yunusa Ari did can be heard independently. The court can hear that independently, and it has nothing to do remotely so with the case that at the tribunal. Was Ari constitutionally empowered to declare that result? Why can't the court look at that?
All right.
Instead of tying it to the case at the tribunal. That's my point, John.
I understand your point, but you should understand that he didn't do that on his own accord.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure prompted. That people who have sent him must have been looking for a loophole. And this is the point where I usually beg our judicial officials and our judiciary in particular to help us look at some areas of loopholes in the law, or some areas of ambiguity where these people can always find a way to maneuver their way around it. And that's what we are saying now. This shows that there's still a loophole somewhere in our judicial system that needs to be looked into. This shows that there are some areas where there are ambiguities. This shows that we are having issues with about jurisdiction. Do you understand? If he can now link up his own case with the tribunal, how is it connected to tribunal? You were summoned on your own case differently, but now you are looking to seek an ex parte order, and an ex parte order was granted to him by a federal high court. So these are areas where our judiciary, should stand up tall and, help some of us who are not even learned colleagues, help some of us who are not lawyers, but who feel that the right thing should be done and justice should be served. When justice is served, even the blind man will know that justice is served, and that will serve as a note of warning to every other people who might have intending notion in their mind as to how they will do the same thing in the next coming election. This should be a way that we should, correct our wrongs, so that going forward in our 2027 election, people will not come in with this kind of silly attitude. People who are public office holders, people who are INEC staffs will not come to do this kind of thing. But if this man, Adamawa Rek, is left to go scot-free without justice being served, what would that do for us? That would further deepen corruption and maladministration, misbehavior of the highest order in a body that should be independent and that determines the fate of over 200 million Nigerians. I think it's high time for our judiciary and INEC itself.
All right, it's a good thing. It's a good thing that we're all putting our opinion on the table. Some Nigerians will, share diverse opinions, of course, on this matter, whether they are in support of
or they are against
Ari. Right. Oh well, gentlemen, let's have your final final thoughts, and then we'll wrap up this segment of the show. I'll start with you.
Well, for me, I'm going to also let me further stress what I said earlier about INEC not allowing the institute to rest at all. INEC should dust all the papers, call their lawyers.
July 18 is just around the corner.
Say what?
July 18.
Well, July 18 no. But if you don't, that's what I'm saying. So that INEC can move swiftly to say, okay, they are challenging the ex parte motion, have it vacated. So if you do that, then we can now begin to applaud and say, okay, indeed they are actually proactive. But when you are waiting, as I said, if you wait, a lot of things will happen along the line. So you don't give them that space at all to operate. It's just like a midfielder. You give a space to a midfielder, he will dazzle everybody. So the way it is now, you have midfielders, the INEC should not give them, they should mark them and then see how they can frustrate those efforts that they are doing. Because if you give a criminal some leeway, they will build a skyscraper before you know it becomes so entrenched and they deepen their activities. Then it will be difficult for you to unseat them. So INEC should not even wait even a day further to go to court and challenge the ex parte motion to have it vacated.
All right, thank you very much, yes. Charles Sideho. John, Your thoughts, final thoughts.
I think my final thought is that our judicial system needs, a revamp and a thorough review. And that's what you have seen in this case. If somebody who is seen publicly to have been pocketing money, gets to court and still tell you that white is black, that shows that something is wrong somewhere. So I think it's a call on our judicial system to rise up, the issue of the day, and make sure that when people come to the hallowed chambers, to seek justice, they should be rest assured that when they come to court, they're going to get justice. And of who is the perpetrator, let justice be served to everybody. Then can we have a balanced society? Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you very much, John Akirele, a public affairs commentator, one-time farmer. I just had to add that one. Thanks for being on the program. And big thanks to you too, Charles Ideho, public affairs commentator, a journalist as well.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
All right, so we'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll get into entertainment and sports. Stay with us.
Yeah.